The entire restaurant fell silent. Marcus Hale, the billionaire who owned half of Manhattan's skyline, was leaning across the table, speaking directly into the waitress's ear. She stared at him with wide, confused eyes, shaking her head apologetically. The woman beside him, his date, a supermodel named Vivian, laughed mockingly. "She can't even hear you, Marcus. How pathetic. Fire her." But Marcus didn't laugh. He leaned even closer, his lips almost brushing the waitress's ear, whispering something no one else could hear. What he didn't know was that she heard every single word. And in exactly 3 minutes, his entire billion-dollar empire was about to crumble because of what she knew. Her name was Eleanor Cross, and she wasn't deaf at all. She was the most dangerous woman in New York. The chandelier lights of Le Cygne Noir glittered like diamonds suspended in midair, casting a warm golden glow over the mahogany tables and silk-draped walls. This wasn't just a restaurant. It was a temple for the elite, a place where deals worth billions were sealed over truffles and aged wine. Elena adjusted her crisp white apron, her fingers smoothing over the black fabric of her uniform. She kept her head down, her chestnut hair pulled back into a tight, severe bun. She wore no makeup, no jewelry, nothing that would draw attention. To the patrons of Le Cygne Noir, she was invisible, a blur of service, a ghost who refilled water glasses and cleared plates without a sound. But tonight, invisibility was her weapon. "Table 7 needs their champagne," the floor manager, Monsieur Toulouse, hissed as he swept past her. "And for God's sake, Elena, do not make eye contact. Mr. Hale is dining tonight." Elena nodded silently. She didn't speak. She hadn't spoken a single word since she started working here 6 weeks ago. The staff assumed she was mute. Some whispered she was deaf. The truth was far more complicated. She walked toward table 7, balancing the silver tray with a bottle of Dom Perignon, 2008. Her heart was steady, her breathing controlled. She had trained for this moment for 3 years. Table 7 was positioned in the center of the dining room, a power position where everyone could see and be seen. Sitting there was Marcus Hale. At 38, he was one of the youngest self-made billionaires in America. He had built Hale Enterprises from nothing, a tech conglomerate that controlled everything from satellite communications to AI development. He was devastatingly handsome in that cold, untouchable way. Sharp jawline, piercing blue eyes, dark hair styled with careless perfection. He wore a charcoal Tom Ford suit that probably cost more than Elena's annual salary, though she knew better. She knew exactly how much it cost. She knew everything about Marcus Hale. Across from him sat Vivienne Lacroix, a French supermodel whose face graced every magazine cover from Vogue to Elle. She wore a crimson dress that plunged dangerously low, diamonds dripping from her neck and wrists. She was beautiful, yes, but her beauty was sharp, weaponized. She looked at Marcus like he was a prize to be won, a trophy to be mounted on her wall. Elena approached the table. She kept her eyes downcast, moving with the practiced efficiency of someone who had done this 1,000 times. She reached for Marcus's champagne flute. "Finally!" Vivian snapped in French, not bothering to lower her voice. "I thought we'd die of thirst. These Americans hire such incompetent staff." Elena's hand didn't tremble. She poured the champagne with perfect precision, the golden liquid fizzing gently in the crystal glass. Marcus didn't look at her. He was reading something on his phone, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Marcus, darling," Vivian purred, reaching across the table to touch his hand. "Put that away. You promised me tonight would be about us." Marcus glanced up, his expression unreadable. There's a situation with the Singapore deal. I need to handle it. You always need to handle something, Vivian pouted. That's why I'm a billionaire, Vivian, not a model. The insult landed with surgical precision. Vivian's smile froze. Her eyes flashed with anger, but she swallowed it down, forcing a laugh. Of course, darling. I just meant you worked too hard. Elena finished pouring and stepped back. She was about to retreat when Vivian suddenly reached out and grabbed her wrist. Elena froze. You, Vivian said, her voice dripping with condescension. Bring me the dessert menu, and make it quick. Elena looked at Vivian's manicured hand on her wrist. She didn't pull away. Instead, she tilted her head, her expression blank, confused. She pointed to her ear and shook her head slowly. Vivian's eyes widened. Oh my God, she said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. She's deaf. Marcus, she can't hear me. Marcus finally looked up. His gaze landed on Elena for the first time. She felt the weight of his attention like a physical force. His eyes were sharp, analytical, the eyes of a man who built empires by reading people. Elena kept her face neutral, her expression apologetic. She pointed to her ear again and made a small gesture with her hands, the universal sign for, I can't hear you. How absolutely tragic, Vivian said, releasing Elena's wrist with a theatrical sigh. They hire disabled people now? I suppose it's for charity. Marcus's jaw tightened. That's enough, Vivian. What? I'm just being honest. Marcus ignored her. He leaned forward, looking directly at Elena. He spoke slowly, exaggerating his words so she could read his lips. Dessert, menu, please? Elena nodded quickly. She gave a small, grateful smile and hurried away. Behind her, she heard Vivian laugh. Poor thing. She probably can't even read the menu. How does she even work here? She's doing her job, Marcus said flatly. Unlike some people at this table. As Elena disappeared into the kitchen, she allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. Phase 1 was complete. Marcus Hale had noticed her. Now came the hard part. In the staff break room, Elena locked the door behind her. She pulled out her phone, a burner device with encrypted software. She opened a secure messaging app and typed quickly. Contact made. He believes the cover. Proceeding to Phase 2. The reply came instantly. Copy. You have 72 hours. Do not deviate from the plan. Elena deleted the conversation and slipped the phone back into her apron. She looked at herself in the cracked mirror above the sink. Her reflection stared back. Tired eyes, plain face, forgettable. Perfect. 3 years ago, Elena Cross had been someone else entirely. She had been a federal investigator with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, one of the best in her division. She specialized in white-collar crime, tracing money through labyrinths of shell companies and offshore accounts. She had taken down senators, CEOs, and crime lords. But then she made a mistake. She got too close to a case involving Marcus Hale. The official story was that Marcus Hale was a legitimate businessman, a genius entrepreneur who had revolutionized the tech industry. But Elena had found something. A hidden network of transactions, payments flowing through dummy corporations into accounts linked to a man named Victor Constantine. Victor Constantine was a ghost, a Russian oligarch with ties to the Kremlin, to arms dealers, to human traffickers, and Marcus Hale was sending him hundreds of millions of dollars. Elena had reported her findings. She had compiled evidence, witness statements, financial records. She had been 3 days away from bringing the case to a grand jury. Then her boss, Director Raymond Shaw, had shut her down. "Drop it, Elena," Shaw had said, his face grim. "This goes higher than you think. You don't want to pull this thread. He's funding a criminal network," Elena had argued. "We have proof. The proof is circumstantial. You'll never get a conviction." "Then let me dig deeper." "No." Shaw had leaned back in his chair, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "Marcus Hale has friends in very high places, the kind of friends who can make careers disappear. Or people. Walk away, Elena. That's an order." But Elena didn't walk away. She kept digging. 2 weeks later, her apartment was broken into. Her files were stolen. Her car was tampered with. The brake lines cut. She survived the crash. Barely. When she woke up in the hospital, Shaw was standing over her bed. "I told you to let it go," he said. "This is your last warning." Elena had no choice. She resigned. But she didn't stop. She just went underground. For 3 years, she had been building a new case, piece by piece, using her own resources, her own contacts. She had followed Marcus Hale's every move, tracked every transaction, every meeting, every whispered deal. And finally, she had found the smoking gun. In 2 days, Marcus Hale was scheduled to meet with Victor Constantine in a private suite at the St. Regis Hotel. The meeting was off the books. No security, no witnesses. It was the perfect opportunity to record a confession, to get proof that couldn't be ignored or buried. But there was one problem. Marcus Hale never let anyone close. He trusted no one. His inner circle was impenetrable. Eleanor needed a way in. And then she realized something. Marcus Hale had a weakness. Not for money, not for power, but for control. He needed to be in control of every situation, every conversation. And the only way to make him lower his guard was to make him think he was in control. So Elena became a waitress. She became invisible. She became deaf. And tonight, she was going to make Marcus Hale come to her. Back in the dining room, the evening was progressing smoothly. Elena moved between tables, her movements precise and silent. She watched Marcus and Vivian from the corner of her eye. Vivian was growing increasingly frustrated. Marcus had barely touched his food, his attention consumed by his phone. "This is ridiculous," Vivian finally snapped, slamming her fork onto her plate. "I flew all the way from Paris for this dinner, and you can't even pretend to be interested." Marcus set his phone down with deliberate slowness. "What do you want from me, Vivian?" "I want you to act like we're on a date, not a business transaction." "Isn't that exactly what this is?" Marcus's voice was cold. "You're here because you want access to my world. I'm here because you're beautiful, and you make me look good in photographs. Let's not pretend this is something it's not." Vivian's face flushed with anger. "You're a bastard, Marcus." "I'm honest. You're a machine. You have no heart." Marcus smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Hearts are liabilities. Vivian stood abruptly, grabbing her clutch. "I'm leaving. Enjoy your phone." She stormed out of the restaurant, her heels clicking violently against the marble floor. The entire dining room watched her go. Marcus didn't follow. He simply picked up his phone again, scrolling through emails as if nothing had happened. Elena saw her opportunity. She approached the table, holding a small leather folder containing the bill. She placed it gently in front of Marcus. He didn't look up. "Just charge it to my account," he said absently. Elena didn't move. She stood there, waiting. Marcus glanced up, irritated. "I said charge it to my account. Do you not understand English?" Elena pointed to her ear and shook her head. Realization dawned on Marcus's face. "Right, you're deaf." He spoke louder, enunciating clearly. "Charge. My." Account. Elena pulled out a small notepad and pen from her apron. She wrote in neat, precise handwriting, "I need your signature, sir." She showed him the note. Marcus sighed, taking the pen. As he signed, Elena wrote another note. She hesitated, then placed it on the table in front of him. Marcus looked down. The note read, "Your date was very rude to you. You deserve better." Marcus froze. He looked up at Elena, his expression unreadable. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, slowly, he picked up the pen and wrote on the same notepad. "You heard that?" Elena's heart skipped a beat. She had made a mistake. A deaf person wouldn't have heard the argument. But she had written the note in real time, responding to something she shouldn't have known. She had blown her cover. But then, an idea struck her. She pointed to her eyes, then to Vivian's empty chair, then to Marcus's face. She wrote quickly, "I can read lips. I saw everything." Marcus studied her. Elena could see the gears turning in his mind, the analytical machine processing this new information. Finally, he nodded. "That's a useful skill," he wrote. Elena smiled. She wrote back, "It helps me survive." Marcus's expression softened, just slightly. He wrote, "What's your name?" "Elena." "Elena." Marcus said her name aloud, testing it. Then he wrote, "Thank you for the honesty, Elena. Not many people are honest with me." Elena wrote, "Maybe they're afraid of you." "Are you afraid of me?" Elena looked him directly in the eyes. She wrote one word, "No." Marcus's lips curved into a small, genuine smile. It transformed his face, stripping away the cold mask and revealing something almost human underneath. He wrote, "Would you like to sit down, Elena? Just for a moment." Elena hesitated. This was unexpected, but it was also exactly what she needed. She glanced around. Monsieur Toulouse was watching from across the room, his face already turning red with outrage. A waitress didn't sit with guests. It was unthinkable. But Marcus Hale wasn't just any guest. Elena nodded. She sat down across from Marcus, her hands folded neatly in her lap. Marcus wrote, "I'm sorry about Vivian. She can be difficult." Elena wrote, "She doesn't understand you." "No one understands me." "Maybe you don't let them." Marcus paused, his pen hovering over the paper. Then he wrote, "That's perceptive." They continued their silent conversation, passing the notepad back and forth like two children sharing secrets in class. Marcus asked her about her life, her work, her dreams. Elena answered carefully, weaving truth and fiction into a believable tapestry. She told him she had lost her hearing in a car accident 3 years ago. She told him she had been a translator before, fluent in 6 languages, but now she could only read lips. She told him she worked at Le Cygne Noir because it was quiet, because the patrons spoke slowly, because she could disappear into the background. Marcus listened, or rather, read. And for the first time in years, Elena saw genuine interest in his eyes. Not the calculating interest of a businessman evaluating an asset, but the simple human interest of someone connecting with another person. "You're remarkable," Marcus wrote. "You've rebuilt your entire life after losing something most people take for granted. That takes strength." Elena felt a pang of guilt. She was lying to him, manipulating him. But she pushed the feeling aside. Marcus Hale was not innocent. He was funding criminals, enabling violence and suffering. Whatever connection they were building was a means to an end. She wrote, "Thank you, but I'm just surviving, like everyone else." "No," Marcus wrote. "Most people just exist. You're fighting." Before Elena could respond, Monsieur Toulouse appeared at the table, his face a mask of barely controlled fury. "Mademoiselle Cross," he said in French, his voice tight. "You are needed in the kitchen immediately." Elena stood quickly, bowing apologetically to Marcus. Marcus looked up at Toulouse. "Is there a problem?" "No problem, Monsieur Hale," Toulouse said smoothly, switching to English. "Just a scheduling issue." Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. He wrote on the back of it, "Call me. I'd like to continue this conversation." He handed the card to Elena. Elena took it, her fingers brushing against his for just a moment. She nodded, tucking the card into her apron. Then she turned and followed Toulouse into the kitchen. The moment the kitchen doors swung shut behind them, Toulouse exploded. "What were you thinking?" he shouted in rapid French. "Sitting with a guest? Do you have any idea how inappropriate that is?" Elena kept her head down, her expression submissive. "He asked me to sit," she wrote on her notepad. "I don't care if he asked you to dance naked on the table." Toulouse ripped the notepad from her hands. "You are a waitress, Elena. You serve. You do not socialize. You do not sit. You do not exist in their world." He threw the notepad on the counter. "You're lucky it was Mr. Hale. If it had been anyone else, you'd be fired. As it is, you're on probation. One more mistake, and you're gone. Do you understand?" Elena nodded. Toulouse stormed off, muttering under his breath. Elena retrieved her notepad, her hands shaking slightly. Not from fear, but from adrenaline. She had done it. She had made contact. She had gotten Marcus Hale's personal number. Now came the hard part, making him trust her. That night, in her small studio apartment in Queens, Eleanor sat at a kitchen table, staring at Marcus Hale's business card. The card was simple, elegant. Embossed black letters on cream cardstock. Marcus Hale, CEO, Hale Enterprises. On the back, in Marcus's neat handwriting, was a phone number and a single word. "Please." Elena picked up her burner phone. She hesitated, her thumb hovering over the screen. Once she made this call, there was no going back. She would be stepping into Marcus Hale's world, a world of power and danger and secrets. But she had come too far to stop now. She dialed the number. It rang twice. Then a voice answered, smooth and familiar. "Marcus Hale." Elena froze. She had forgotten. She was supposed to be deaf. She couldn't just talk to him on the phone. Quickly, she hung up. Her heart was pounding. Stupid mistake. Her phone buzzed. A text message from the same number. "Elena?" She exhaled slowly. Of course, Marcus was smart enough to figure it out. She texted back, "Yes, sorry. Can't use phone. Text only." The reply came immediately. "I should have realized. My apologies. Are you free tomorrow? I work until 10 p.m. After work then. I'll send a car to pick you up. We can talk properly." "Where?" "My office. Don't worry, it's not what you think. I just want to show you something." Elena hesitated. Going to Marcus Hale's office was risky. It would be on his territory, under his control. But it was also exactly where she needed to be. To get the evidence she needed, she had to get close to him. Closer than a restaurant conversation. "Okay. Good. The car will be waiting at 10:15. See you tomorrow, Elena." Eleanor set the phone down. She walked to her bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror. Her reflection stared back, tired, determined. "You can do this," she whispered to herself. "Just a little longer." The next evening, at exactly 10:15 p.m., a black Mercedes pulled up in front of Le Cygne Noir. Elena had changed out of her uniform into simple jeans and a sweater. She had let her hair down, and it fell in soft waves around her face. The driver opened the door for her. He was a large man in a dark suit, silent and professional. Elena slid into the back seat. The interior smelled of leather and expensive cologne. The car pulled away from the curb, merging smoothly into the Manhattan traffic. Elena watched the city lights blur past her window. She had a small recording device hidden in the clasp of her necklace and a backup in her shoe. Everything Marcus said tonight would be captured, analyzed. 20 minutes later, the car pulled up in front of Hale Tower, a gleaming skyscraper of steel and glass that dominated the midtown skyline. The driver opened her door. "Mr. Hale is waiting for you on the 60th floor," he said. "Take the private elevator." Elena stepped out. She walked through the lobby, her footsteps echoing on the marble floor. The security guard nodded at her, already expecting her arrival. She stepped into the elevator. It was all glass, offering a breathtaking view of the city as it ascended. When the doors opened on the 60th floor, Elena found herself in a vast open office. Floor-to-ceiling windows surrounded the space, offering a 360-degree view of Manhattan. The office was minimalist, all clean lines and modern furniture. And standing by the window, silhouetted against the glowing city, was Marcus Hale. He turned when he heard the elevator. He wasn't wearing a suit tonight. He wore dark slacks and a white dress shirt, the sleeves rolled up to his elbows. He looked younger, less severe. "Eleanor," he said, then caught himself. He pulled out his phone and typed, "Welcome. Thank you for coming." Eleanor smiled. She pulled out her own phone and typed back, "Thank you for inviting me. Your office is beautiful." Marcus walked toward her. He gestured to a seating area by the window, 2 leather chairs facing the view. "Please sit. Can I get you anything? Water? Wine?" Elena shook her head. She sat down, and Marcus sat across from her. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then Marcus started typing. "I've been thinking about our conversation last night. About what you said, that maybe I don't let people understand me. And you're right, I don't. I've spent my entire life building walls, protecting myself. In my world, vulnerability is weakness. Trust is a liability. That sounds lonely." Marcus paused. Then he typed, "It is." Elena felt a flicker of something unexpected. Sympathy. She pushed it down. "Why did you invite me here?" she typed. Marcus stood up. He walked to his desk and picked up a small box. He brought it back and placed it in Elena's hands. "Open it," he typed. Elena opened the box. Inside was a sleek modern hearing aid, top-of-the-line technology, practically invisible. She looked up at Marcus, confused. "I did some research," Marcus typed. "This is the best hearing aid on the market. It's experimental, still in trials. But I pulled some strings. I want you to have it." Elena stared at the device. Her throat tightened. This was not part of the plan. This was genuine kindness, a gesture so unexpected it threatened to unravel everything. "I can't accept this," she typed. "It must have cost a fortune." "I have a fortune," Marcus typed, "and you deserve a chance to hear again, even if it's just a little." Elena looked at him. His expression was open, hopeful. He wasn't the cold billionaire from the restaurant. He was just a man trying to do something good. And in that moment, Elena realized something terrible. She was starting to like him. She forced herself to type, "Why are you doing this? You barely know me." Marcus typed slowly, choosing his words carefully. "Because you looked at me last night and you weren't afraid. You weren't impressed by my money or my name. You just saw me. And I can't remember the last time anyone did that." Elena felt a crack form in the wall she had built around her heart. She couldn't let this happen. She couldn't let herself care. But the crack was already there. "Thank you," she typed. "This means more than you know." Marcus smiled. "There's one condition." "What?" "You have to let me take you to dinner. A real dinner. Not me sitting alone while you serve me. Let me hear your voice. Or rather, let you hear mine." Elena knew she should say no. She should maintain distance, keep the mission clean. But she also knew that saying yes would bring her closer to Marcus, closer to the evidence she needed. She typed, "Okay, one dinner. Tomorrow night? Okay." Marcus's smile widened. For the rest of the evening, they sat together, typing back and forth, sharing stories. Marcus told her about building his company, about the loneliness of success, about the pressure to always be perfect. Elena told him more lies, weaving a fictional past that felt increasingly real. When the clock struck midnight, Marcus walked her back to the elevator. Before the doors closed, he typed one last message. "Good night, Elena. Thank you for giving me a chance." Elena watched him disappear as the elevator descended. When she was alone, she leaned against the wall, her eyes closed. "What are you doing?" she whispered to herself. "Stay focused. He's not your friend. He's a criminal." But the words felt hollow. The next night, Marcus picked Elena up in person. He drove a sleek Aston Martin, and he held the door open for her like a gentleman. They went to a small Italian restaurant in Brooklyn, far from the glittering towers of Manhattan. It was quiet, intimate, the kind of place where people went to disappear. Elena wore the hearing aid Marcus had given her. It worked. She could hear the soft murmur of conversation, the clink of glasses, the rustle of fabric. She could hear Marcus's voice. "Can you hear me?" Marcus asked softly. Elena nodded. She spoke for the first time, her voice slightly hoarse from disuse. "Yes, I can hear you." Marcus's face lit up. "Your voice is beautiful." Elena felt heat rise to her cheeks. "Thank you." They ordered food, they talked. And for a few hours, Elena forgot about the mission. She forgot about the lies. She just let herself be with Marcus. He was funny, charming, surprisingly self-deprecating. He told her about growing up poor, about his mother working 3 jobs to keep them afloat. He told her about the day he sold his first company, how he had bought his mother a house and cried when he handed her the keys. "I owe everything to her," Marcus said. "She taught me that success isn't about money. It's about taking care of the people you love." Eleanor listened, and with every word, the crack in her heart widened. This wasn't the monster she had imagined. This was a man shaped by hardship, driven by love. After dinner, they walked along the Brooklyn Bridge. The city lights reflected on the water, and the air was cool and fresh. "Elena," Marcus said, stopping to look at her, "I need to tell you something." "What?" "I haven't felt this way in a very long time. Maybe never. You make me want to be better. You make me want to be honest." Elena's heart hammered in her chest. "Marcus, I know it's fast. I know we just met. But I feel like I've known you forever." He took her hand. "I want to see where this goes. If you'll let me." Elena looked into his eyes. She saw hope there, vulnerability. She saw a man who had opened his heart to her, and she knew, with absolute certainty, that she was going to destroy him. Because tomorrow, Marcus Hale had a meeting with Victor Constantine, and Elena was going to be there to record every word. "Yes," Elena whispered. "I want that too." Marcus smiled. He leaned down and kissed her. It was gentle, tentative, full of promise. And Eleanor kissed him back, even as her heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. The next day, Elena stood outside the St. Regis Hotel, her hands shaking. She had planted a listening device in Marcus's briefcase that morning when he wasn't looking. She had a receiver in her ear, ready to record. All she had to do was wait. At exactly 2 p.m., Marcus walked into the hotel. He looked tense, focused. He didn't see Elena watching from across the street. She listened as Marcus rode the elevator to the penthouse suite. She listened as he knocked on the door. And then she heard a voice she recognized from 1,000 case files. Marcus, right on time. Victor Constantine. Elena's pulse quickened. This was it. The evidence she needed. Let's make this quick, Victor, Marcus said. I don't have much time. Of course. The Singapore deal. You have the codes? I have them. But I need assurances. I need to know this isn't going to blow back on me. Marcus, my friend, when have I ever let you down? Elena listened, waiting for the confession, for Marcus to admit his complicity. But what she heard next made her blood run cold. I'm done, Victor, Marcus said. This is the last time. After this, I'm out. Out? Victor laughed. You can't just walk away, Marcus. You know too much. I'm giving you the codes because I don't want any more blood on my hands. But after this, we're done. I'm not helping you anymore. You don't have a choice. Yes, I do. I have documentation. Everything you've forced me to do over the last 5 years. Every threat, every blackmail. If anything happens to me, it all goes to the FBI. There was a long silence. Then Victor spoke, his voice colder than ice. You're making a mistake, Marcus. No. The mistake was ever trusting you. Elena's mind was reeling. Marcus wasn't a willing participant. He was a victim. Victor had been blackmailing him. Suddenly, the listening device went dead. Then her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You've been compromised. They know you're listening. Run. Elena's heart stopped. She looked up at the hotel, and there, in the window of the penthouse suite, she saw a figure pointing directly at her. Victor Constantine. He knew. Elena ran. She sprinted down the street, her breath coming in ragged gasps. Behind her, she heard shouts, footsteps. Victor's men were coming. She ducked into an alley, her mind racing. She had to warn Marcus. She had to get him out. She pulled out her phone and called him. Elena? Marcus answered, his voice confused. What's wrong? Marcus, you need to get out of there. Now. Victor knows about me. He knows I've been investigating you. There was a pause. Then Marcus's voice, cold and hard. You've been investigating me? Marcus, I can explain. You lied to me. Everything. The deafness. The accident. All of it was a lie. Yes, but I was wrong. You're not the criminal. Victor is. He's been blackmailing you. I heard everything. And you were going to turn me in anyway. Elena heard gunshots in the background. Marcus! I have to go, Elena. Victor's men are here. The line went dead. Elena screamed in frustration. She had ruined everything. She had to fix this. She called her old contact at the bureau, Agent Sarah Chen. Chen, I need backup. St. Regis Hotel, penthouse suite. Victor Constantine is there, and he's armed. Eleanor, I thought you were out of the game. I am, but I need your help. Please. Chen sighed. I'll send a team, but you owe me an explanation. I'll give you one. Just hurry. Elena ran back toward the hotel. She burst through the lobby, ignoring the shouts of security. She took the stairs, running up flight after flight until her lungs burned. On the 40th floor, she heard voices. Marcus Hale, you disappoint me. Victor's voice echoed down the hallway. I gave you everything. And this is how you repay me? You gave me nothing but blood and lies, Marcus shot back. Elena peered around the corner. Marcus was standing in the hallway, his hands raised. Victor stood in front of him, a gun pointed at Marcus's chest. You should have stayed loyal, Marcus. Loyalty to a monster isn't loyalty. It's cowardice. Victor's finger tightened on the trigger. Elena didn't think. She screamed, "Federal agent, drop your weapon!" Victor spun around. His gun swung toward Elena. 2 shots rang out. But they didn't come from Victor. They came from Marcus. He had pulled a gun from his ankle holster, firing in one smooth motion. Victor stumbled back, clutching his shoulder. His gun clattered to the floor. Marcus ran to Elena, grabbing her arm. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine. Are you?" "I've been better." Sirens wailed in the distance. FBI agents flooded the hallway, surrounding Victor. Agent Chen appeared, her weapon drawn. "Marcus Hale? That's me. You're under arrest." "Wait!" Elena stepped forward. "He's a victim, not a criminal. Victor Constantine has been blackmailing him for years. I have evidence." Chen looked at Elena, then at Marcus. "We'll sort this out at the bureau. Both of you, let's go." 3 hours later, Elena sat in an interrogation room, her hands wrapped around a cup of cold coffee. The door opened. Marcus walked in. He looked exhausted, his shirt stained with blood, his eyes red. "They're letting you go," Elena said. "For now. My lawyers are handling the rest." He sat down across from her. "You lied to me." "I know. You pretended to be deaf so you could get close to me." "Yes." "Why?" "Because I thought you were a criminal. I thought you were funding Victor's operation willingly. I was wrong." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "You broke my heart, Eleanor." "I know, and I'm sorry. For what it's worth, everything I felt for you was real. The lies were just the beginning. The rest was real." Marcus looked at her for a long time. Then he stood up. "I don't know if I can forgive you. I don't expect you to." Marcus walked to the door. He paused, his hand on the handle. "But I understand why you did it. You were trying to do the right thing, and you saved my life." "Marcus, goodbye, Elena." He walked out. Elena buried her face in her hands and cried. 6 months later, Elena sat in a cafe in Paris, sipping espresso and reading the newspaper. The headline read, "Billionaire Marcus Hale testifies against Russian oligarch. Victor Constantine sentenced to life." She smiled. It was over. Victor was in prison. Marcus was free. She had done her job. But the victory felt hollow. She missed Marcus. Every day. A shadow fell across her table. Elena looked up. Marcus Hale stood there, wearing jeans and a leather jacket, looking more relaxed than she had ever seen him. "Marcus? I've been looking for you for 3 months," he said. "How did you find me?" "I'm a billionaire, Elena. I have resources." He sat down across from her. "I did a lot of thinking about what you did, about why you did it, and I realized something." "What?" "You were willing to risk everything to stop a monster. You were willing to lie, to manipulate, to break your own heart. Because you believed it was right." Marcus reached across the table and took her hand. "That's the kind of person I want in my life." Elena felt tears prick her eyes. "I don't deserve your forgiveness." "Maybe not, but you have it anyway." He smiled. "Besides, I owe you. You taught me that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's strength." "Marcus, I'm not asking you to marry me, Elena. Not yet, but I'm asking you to give us a real chance. No lies this time, just honesty." Elena looked at him. at the man she had deceived, the man she had saved, the man she loved. "Okay," she whispered. "No lies this time." Marcus leaned across the table and kissed her. And for the first time in 6 months, Elena felt whole again. But their story wasn't quite over yet. 3 days after their reunion in Paris, Elena received a phone call that changed everything. It was Agent Chen. "Elena, we have a problem. Victor Constantine escaped during transport to the federal prison." Elena's blood ran cold. "How is that possible?" "Inside job. Someone on the transport team was on his payroll. He's gone, and he left a message." "What message?" Chen's voice was grim. He said, "Tell Marcus Hale and Elena Cross that debts must be paid in blood. Elena, you and Marcus are in danger. You need to come back to the States immediately. We can put you in protective custody." Elena looked across the cafe table at Marcus, who had been watching her face grow pale. "We're not hiding," Elena said firmly. "We're ending this, for good." She hung up. "Victor escaped," she told Marcus. Marcus's jaw tightened. "Then we finish what we started." "This isn't your fight anymore, Marcus." "The hell it isn't. He held me hostage for 5 years, Elena. He made me an accomplice to murder, to trafficking, to things that still keep me awake at night. I'm done running." Elena reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "Okay, but we do this smart. We use what we know about him." "He'll come for us," Marcus said. "He won't be able to resist. His ego won't let him. So we set a trap." Elena's mind was already working, formulating a plan. "Victor thinks he's untouchable. He thinks he's smarter than everyone. We use that against him." 24 hours later, Elena and Marcus were back in New York. But they didn't go to the FBI. They went to Marcus's office, to the place where Victor would expect to find them. Marcus sat at his desk, reviewing the files Elena had compiled over 3 years of investigation. "This is impressive," he said, scrolling through transaction records, photographs, intercepted communications. "You built a complete profile." "I had motivation," Elena said. She was standing by the window, watching the street below. "Victor taught me something important. Monsters hide in plain sight. They wear expensive suits and smile for cameras. But if you look closely enough, you can always see the blood on their hands." "You sound like you're talking from experience." Elena turned to face him. "I am. My father was like Victor. Not a criminal, but a man who valued power over people. He was a diplomat, like I told you. But what I didn't tell you was that he used his position to exploit vulnerable people. He took bribes, he sold visas to the highest bidder, he looked the other way when his friends committed atrocities." She walked to the desk and sat down across from Marcus. "When I was 16, I found proof. Documents, recordings. I turned him in. He went to prison and my mother never forgave me. She said I destroyed the family." "You did the right thing," Marcus said softly. "I know, but it cost me everything. That's why I became an investigator. To prove that doing the right thing matters, even when it's hard." Marcus stood and walked around the desk. He knelt in front of Elena, taking her hands in his. "You're the strongest person I've ever met, Elena Cross. And whatever happens next, I want you to know that I love you." Elena's breath caught. "Marcus, I should have said it months ago. I should have said it that night in Brooklyn. I love you, not despite the lies, but because of them, because you cared enough about justice to risk everything." Elena pulled him close, kissing him deeply. "I love you too," she whispered against his lips, "and I'm going to make sure Victor Constantine never hurts you again." Their moment was interrupted by the sound of shattering glass. Marcus pulled Elena to the floor as bullets tore through the windows. the office filled with smoke and chaos. "He's here," Marcus shouted, pulling a gun from his desk drawer. "I thought you hated guns." "I hate a lot of things, but I hate dying more." They crawled toward the emergency exit. Behind them, footsteps echoed in the hallway. Heavy boots, multiple attackers. "Marcus Hale!" Victor's voice boomed through the office. "You can't hide from me. I own this city. I own you." Marcus and Elena reached the stairwell. They ran down 3 flights before Marcus grabbed Elena's arm. "Wait, this is what he wants. He wants us running, panicking." "What are you suggesting?" "We turn the tables. We stop running and start hunting." Elena looked at Marcus. His eyes were hard, determined. This wasn't the same man she had met in the restaurant. This was a man who had been pushed to his limit. "You have a plan?" Elena asked. Marcus smiled. "I have billions of dollars and a very specific set of resources. Victor thinks I'm just a businessman. He doesn't know that I've been preparing for this moment since the day he first threatened me." Marcus pulled out his phone and made a call. "Dimitri, it's time. Activate Protocol Omega." He hung up. "Who's Dimitri?" Elena asked. "My head of security, former Spetsnaz. He's been tracking Victor's associates for the past year. We know where they are, where they hide, who they trust. You've been building your own intelligence network. I told you, Elena, I hate feeling powerless. So I made sure I'd never be powerless again." They descended to the sub-basement, a level of Hale Tower that didn't appear on any official blueprints. The doors were reinforced steel, biometrically locked. Inside was a command center that would make the FBI jealous. Dimitri was waiting, a mountain of a man with a shaved head and cold grey eyes. "Sir, the asset has been located. Victor Constantine is currently at the old shipping warehouse in Red Hook. He has 12 men with him." Marcus looked at the monitors showing live satellite footage. "Elena, you don't have to do this. You can stay here, safe." "Not a chance," Elena said, checking the clip in her service weapon. "We end this together." The warehouse was a tomb of rust and shadows. Eleanor and Marcus approached from the waterside, accompanied by Dimitri and 4 of his hand-picked operatives. They moved in silence, using night vision to navigate the maze of shipping containers. "Contact, 12 o'clock, Dimitri whispered into his comm. Elena saw them. Victor's men, armed with automatic weapons, patrolling the perimeter. "We need a distraction," Marcus said. Elena had an idea. "Give me 60 seconds. Before Marcus could stop her, Elena slipped away into the darkness. She circled around to the far side of the warehouse, finding an old loudspeaker system used for coordinating shipments. She connected her phone to it and played a recording. It was her voice, the confession she had recorded months ago, the one implicating Victor in dozens of crimes. The sound blasted through the warehouse. Victor's men froze, looking around in confusion. And in that moment of distraction, Dimitri's team struck. It was surgical, silent. Within 90 seconds, 6 of Victor's men were down, disarmed and zip-tied. But Victor and his inner circle had barricaded themselves in the main office at the center of the warehouse. "Come out, Victor!" Marcus's voice echoed through the space. "It's over. The FBI is on their way. Your empire is finished." The office door opened. Victor Constantine stepped out, and Elena's blood ran cold. He was holding a woman, Marcus's mother. "Hello, Marcus," Victor said, pressing a gun to the elderly woman's head. "I believe you know Mrs. Hale." Marcus's face went white. "Let her go, Victor. This is between us." "Everything I do is between us, Marcus. Did you really think I wouldn't have insurance? I've had people watching your mother for years." Mrs. Hale was trembling but defiant. "Marcus, don't listen to him. Don't let him—" "Shut up!" Victor struck her with the gun. She cried out. Marcus took a step forward, but Elena grabbed his arm. "Wait, he's baiting you." "That's my mother." "I know, but if you rush him, he'll kill her. We need to be smart." Elena looked at Victor. She saw the madness in his eyes, the desperation. He was cornered, and cornered animals were the most dangerous. She raised her hands, stepping into the light. "Victor, you don't want to do this. Kill her, and you lose your leverage. Marcus will never help you." "I don't need his help anymore," Victor spat. "I need my revenge." "For what? Marcus tried to do the right thing. He tried to stop you. That's not betrayal. That's courage." "Courage?" Victor laughed bitterly. "He was weak. I gave him power, wealth, connections, and he threw it away for what? Morality? There's no such thing, little girl. There's only power." "You're wrong," Elena said, taking another step closer. "There's something more powerful than fear. It's love. It's loyalty. It's the thing that makes Marcus willing to die for his mother. The thing you'll never understand." Victor's hand shook. "Stop talking. You're alone, Victor. Your men are gone. Your empire is crumbling. And even if you kill us all today, you've already lost." "I said stop talking." Victor's attention was on Elena now. His gun had drifted slightly away from Mrs. Hale's head. It was a fraction of a second, but it was enough. Marcus moved. He dove forward, tackling his mother out of Victor's grip. A gunshot rang out. Elena fired her weapon. Victor stumbled back, clutching his chest. He looked down at the blood spreading across his shirt, then up at Elena. "You—" he gasped. "Me," Elena said, her voice cold. "You made one mistake, Victor. You underestimated a woman who had nothing left to lose." Victor collapsed. His eyes stared unseeing at the ceiling. It was over. Sirens filled the air. FBI agents swarmed the warehouse. Agent Chen found Elena sitting on a shipping container, her hands shaking from adrenaline. "You okay?" Chen asked. "I will be." Chen sat down beside her. "You did good work here, Elena. Victor Constantine was a monster. The world is better without him. I know, but it doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like survival. Sometimes that's all we get." Marcus appeared, his arm around his mother. She was shaken but unhurt. She looked at Elena with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," Mrs. Hale said. "You saved my life." "Marcus saved you," Eleanor said. "I just helped." Mrs. Hale smiled. "I think you did more than help, dear. I think you saved my son's soul." 1 year later, Eleanor stood in front of a mirror, adjusting the delicate lace veil that fell over her shoulders. She wore a simple white dress, elegant and understated. Her hair was styled in soft curls, and for the first time in years, she felt genuinely happy. There was a knock on the door. "Come in." Agent Chen entered, wearing a navy blue dress and a rare smile. "You look beautiful, Elena." "Thank you. I'm glad you could make it." "I wouldn't miss it. You know, I never thought I'd see the day when Elena Cross, the toughest investigator I ever worked with, would get married." Elena laughed. "Neither did I. But then I met someone who saw past all the walls I'd built. Someone who loved me not despite my flaws, but because of them. Marcus is a lucky man. I'm the lucky one." The ceremony was held in a small garden overlooking the Hudson River. There were no photographers, no press, just close friends and family. Marcus stood at the altar wearing a simple black suit. When Elena walked down the aisle, his face lit up with a smile that made her heart soar. The officiant spoke about love, about trust, about second chances. And when it came time for their vows, Marcus took Elena's hands and spoke from the heart. "Elena," You walked into my life pretending to be someone you weren't, but in doing so, you showed me who I really was. You challenged me. You frustrated me. You broke my heart. And then you put it back together, stronger than before. I promised to spend the rest of my life hearing you, really hearing you, the way you heard me. Elena wiped away a tear. Marcus, I lied to you. I deceived you. But every moment I spent with you taught me what truth really means. It's not about words. It's about actions. It's about showing up when things are hard, about fighting for what's right, even when it costs you everything. I promise to always be honest with you, even when the truth is difficult, especially when the truth is difficult. They exchanged rings. They kissed. And as the sun set over the river, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Elena realized something profound. She had spent her whole life chasing justice, trying to make up for her father's sins. But justice wasn't about punishment. It was about restoration. It was about taking broken things and making them whole again. And that's exactly what she and Marcus had done. They had taken two broken people and created something beautiful. The waitress who pretended to be deaf had finally found her voice. And the billionaire who thought he was alone had finally found someone who truly heard him. In the end, the greatest deception was believing that love couldn't survive the truth. But it did, and it was stronger for it. As they walked back down the aisle as husband and wife, Elena whispered to Marcus, "No more lies." Marcus smiled. "No more lies. Just us. Just us." And somewhere in the distance, if you listened carefully, you could almost hear the sound of two hearts beating in perfect harmony. The end. But also the beginning.